Hello? Delivery?
1 hour later.
How's it loading, guys? Tanner here with another Digimon ReArise video. Today we are gonna talk about Clash Battles, also known as raids. The one we are having right now is the WarGreymon raid.
Mandatory disclaimer, this video is obviously for those of you who just want to know more about Clash Battles, aka raids. This is all my personal opinion from the information I gathered so far. This can be a topic with a lot to talk about, so if I miss anything out, please let me know in the comments below.
That being said, take my advice with just a pinch of salt and don't believe every single word a YouTuber tells you. Well, unless you're sponsoring me a new PC, then I'll let it slide. We are players like you two and don't know everything about the game. Or do we? I actually believe hardcore players know way more than myself, since content creators like myself, you have to factor in the time to make videos like the one you're watching right now. Anyway, for the account giveaway is in the other video I uploaded together with this video. Okay, with that being said, let's continue with the raid guide. I think this is one of the most, if not the biggest part of the game, and for most part we have no control over. For one, it takes RNG to trigger the raid and also RNG to get the code drops. Okay, so what are Clash Battles? Clash Battles, aka raids, are basically boss stages that will occur randomly when you run either story or vortex stages. Right, so why do raids? There are a couple of reasons I can think of. Number one, as you can see right here, you will need a special Digivolution code to digivolve certain Digimon like my WarGreymon right here. So right now the current raid is to obtain DGV codes to evolve to WarGreymon and Sakuyamon. The game called it DGV codes, which I think probably just means Digivolve code. It's not very creative, but it works. So yeah, to emphasize on this reason, if you put a Greymon or even a WarGreymon, and if you don't have 5 of these WarGrey DGV codes, then I'm sorry to say you'll be stuck with a WarGreymon that is until you get those codes. In case you don't know, the third achievement actually gives you 2 WarGrey DGV codes, so no sweat. You will also need a ton of elemental DGV codes, as you can see right here in this page. Depending on the stage of the Digimon, you will need at least 2 different types of codes for rookies, all the way up to 4 to 5 types of elemental codes to digivolve basically all your Digimon. You can also buy the codes at the CB Metal Shop, which you can also obtain from the raids. Okay Tanna, I get it. We really need the codes. So how do we get them? Okay, you already know this, but just in case, yeah, first click on the quest button right here. Okay.
A few moments later.
And then click on the Clash Battle icon right here in the top right. I know we get them from the raids, but is there anything I should know? Yep, just a few things to take note to obtain the codes. Firstly, these codes only drop from level 4 or higher raids. So from level 1 to 3, you will only see elemental DGV codes, which are also needed to digivolve your Digimon. Secondly, only the spotter and top X ranking of the damage dealers will have a chance to get them. I'm not exactly sure which position are they, so to be sure, just click on the details to see what's the requirement for the drop. For example, here at level 5, you click on the details and you can see the drop details. Each condition has a random reward. The first and the second will have a chance to get the codes for WarGreymon and Sakuyamon, and also the spotter will have the chance to get the reward as well. So all these are not guaranteed, but you have a chance to. If you're like 3rd onwards, you won't get the reward. And here we have level 9 Clash Battles. This one is slightly different. The drop details as follows. The most damage dealt for 1st, 2nd and 3rd actually will have a chance to get the rewards here. If your ranking is lower than 3rd, then you will get only the elemental DGV codes, and of course the spotter will still have a chance to get the codes as well. Spotters are basically the player that opened or found the raid. You usually see this screen when you trigger the raid with the raid warning screen, and then WarGreymon appears. Finally, you can only solo the raid at the first few levels, and after that you will need friends or guildmates to help you out to clear the raid itself. Helping out a friend or guildmate are a great way to farm for more codes, especially when you're out of energy and cannot open the raids yourself. Also, your friend and teammates really do need your help to complete it. But to be honest, the event usually runs for a while, so the chance of you getting it is pretty high even if you play casually. Well, unless you want to get the codes ASAP to digivolve your precious Digimon, which I recommend it if you actually have the time, else don't sweat it. Besides, I just mentioned it earlier that the challenge will give you 2 of the WarGreymon codes. Sorry, Sakuyamon users. And unless you're so unlucky that by the end of the event and don't have it, then maybe it's time to panic. Just kidding, don't panic at the disco. Get it? Panic. Alright, that's a lot of information, but don't worry, you can always refer to this guide if you need reference or some sort. Some information may still be relevant in the future anyways. Moving on to the details of the raid itself. Okay, first let's take a quick look on the boss. Since he's similar to WarGreymon, let us take a look at its stats and profile. As you can see here, he is power type. He also has 2 single target skills. For his main skill, he can both stun and debuff power by 30%, and his sub skill will buff his own power by 50%. That's pretty sick. However, he is weak to dot, aka damage over time. Okay, so who to use in your team? Ideally, you should have an offensive buffer which buff your team's power or tech. So the Digimon I mentioned in a previous video come in handy. I will link it in the description below, but don't worry, I won't make you go watch the video just to find out, unless those Digimon are WarGreymon ReArise, aka Black WarGreymon, and Lilamon right here for power buff. Then we also have Wisemon and Warudramon for tech buff. That 60% to 80% team buff for 3 turns will definitely boost your team's DPS by a lot. Okay, how much is a lot? Let's just say it's 60% times 5 of your Digimon, and finally 3 turns. Bro, that's a whopping... It's over 900!
There's no way that can be right!
The next one is really important. If you haven't done so already, I want you to put Vidramon or Vidramon in your team right now. Firstly, you can't say you don't have him because the game has already given him to us for free for a very good reason. Bamco probably knows this and give this to everyone just to start the game proper. Secondly, he does 2 things very well in raid. Number 1, which is the most important reason actually. The first reason is he does 40% defense debuff to the boss for 2 turns. The extra damage is huge. Okay, so the extra damage equals to 40% times 5 times 2 equals to 400. Besides defense debuff, he also packs a punch himself. Though he's more like a glass cannon, his damage is really good and definitely deserves a spot in your team. So if you don't have a decent DPS, then he will be your main DPS. You just need to power buff him with either WarGreymon ReArise or Lilamon. And that's it for Vidramon. Next, you want to have 2 to 3 DPS that matches your team's offensive buff. It might seem awfully obvious, but hey, most of us are still new to this game. Give some chance, yeah? So to reiterate my point, if you have a Digimon that boosts power, then your DPS should be power type damage. And if your Digimon boosts tech, then your team's DPS should be doing tech damage. Or you can have the other way around, whichever that gives you the most damage. So just in case, meaning if your team are using mostly power type damage, then get a Digimon that buffs power. And if your team consists mostly of tech, then find a tech buffer. Whew! That was strangely exhausting. Alright, some good choice for DPS are WarGreymon is probably hands down the current best Digimon for this raid. Next, you definitely want to include Vidramon as we mentioned earlier. I think I emphasized that enough already. Boatmon is also a good choice as he brings 20% crit chance to all brave allies and does a pretty good damage as well. And something more obtainable is Groundramon. If you have this dragon dude, he's actually a good pick. I kinda wish I have him instead of so many rookie dupes. Finally, you can consider having a support for your team. It can be anything from a defense buff Digimon like Hyandramon or Mummymon to help you survive longer in the raid, though I personally don't see a need right now, but you can also include a dedicated healer like Plesiomon or MagnaEngimon. Plesiomon gives you 50% HP, AoE, him heal and remove sleep status. He also inflicts free status effect with his other skill. On the other hand, MagnaEngimon heals 80% of 2 of your team and has a shorter cooldown than the AoE heals. His other skill can silence the enemy via skill steal. Next, we have Superstarmon Yellow or Tenacious from Gotsumon. He's actually a pretty decent pick because he acts as a tank for your team. So all the stuns from WarGreymon will actually go to this poor guy before touching a DPS. Another Digimon worth mentioning is Titamon, as he gives status immunity to your brave personality type Digimon, or basically the red colored border Digimon like WarGreymon and Vidramon. Okay, we are done talking about the team for raids. Just to note that you don't want too many supports or else you won't do enough damage before the time is up. You want to do as much damage as you can in that 5 minutes. Okay, lastly I want to talk about skill orders. Skill orders are actually pretty important. You want to make sure to get the full damage out. Let me pause this real quick and deal as much damage as possible. So you should always buff your team and debuff the enemy before proceeding. Okay, wait, and this. Okay, you want to make sure to get the full damage out and deal as much damage as possible, so you always buff your team and debuff the enemy before proceeding with obliterating your enemies. If you're using full auto, then there's nothing much to talk about, but obviously I would recommend at least playing the raid with semi-auto on. Okay, let me click again. What I usually do is defense buff my team with Andromon right here, this skill, and then power buff with Greymon ReArise, which is this guy right here, and then finally defense debuff the boss with Arrow Vidramon. Okay, Vidramon right here. Next, I will simply use the highest DPS Digimon in my team, which in this case is WarGreymon. I will use his first skill since it does the most damage, and then immediately uses his second skill. Then I will continue using the next higher DPS, which in my case is Vidramon, so on and so forth. Honestly, the attack order shouldn't matter that much, but sometimes you're being paranoid like myself. You tell yourself, hey, you're helping the team by tapping them skills. If I'm not being too lazy, I will continue tapping the skills, but if I feel like it, whatever, you know, then I will just let it autoplay on its own. I will definitely replace Monzaemon, he's still a burden, Monzaemon, or something better, but sadly I do not have anything worth using for this raid. Okay, pro tip, in a battle, you can actually pause and go into the settings, okay, settings, and click on auto special skills. Boom! You no longer have to manually use special gauge anymore. Of course, you are min-maxing, then it may not be perfect, but let's be honest, ain't nobody got time for that. Pro tip for this video, if you don't already know this, beat your Digimon, yo. Make them happy and increase their mood. What this does is actually increases your rewards drop slightly and also crit block counter more often in battle. And very importantly, it also increases the chance to boost special gauge. That extra DPS is very most welcome. Thank you very much. Itadakimasu. And there you have it, the ultimate guide to Clash Battles, aka raid. Okay, calling it an ultimate guide is kind of far-fetched, but it definitely suits the theme of the game. Or maybe I should have called it a mega guide instead, since you know, WarGreymon is mega. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope I brought some good information for you, be it things you don't already know or a gentle reminder. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and if I miss out on anything important about the raid or if you have any more pro tips, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.